How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well. Very nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you too. And this film obviously has a lot going on with its entire story. When you're approaching a project like this for the very first time and read through the script itself, what's one aspect of the script that you're looking for that really makes you go, I really, really, really want to do this?
Well, that's a great question. Like on this movie in particular, so I had just finished another film that was based on a book by the same author.
Oh.
So I had played around in that world of kind of bigger reveals or
Mm.
surprises at the end. So yeah, I just I thought it would be a fun puzzle to
Mm.
approach and make the movie as fun as it could be was kind of the goal.
Oh, that's good to see. So, when you were given this story for the first time, because of how twisty and somewhat mature its ideas are, what were your first impressions, and how did that affect your approach for this film because of what it is?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think like what I really wanted to do, like I thought, okay, well, what would be how would I describe this movie to somebody? So I would say, okay, or what would the goal be? It would be to make it like a juicy domestic thriller, right? So because you've got the family element and you've got the thriller element, and then like what can we do to make it more fun and more kind of like lean in and homage like kind of like movies like this of the past, and then really trying to like study people that did that really well, some like Alfred Hitchcock or Pedro Almodovar or Brian De Palma, right? And say like, okay, what can I rip off? Or what can I borrow? What can I borrow from these great filmmakers that will help us tell the story?
Definitely. And speaking about Pedro, speaking about Brian De Palma, there are a lot of book to screen adaptations nowadays. Were there any previous films or shows that you looked at to help you guide your vision of how you wanted The Stranger in My House to be?
So as far as adaptations of
Yeah.
I don't know that I looked at specific, and again, having like just done it with the image of you, I think when you read a book, and especially one that you're emotionally connected to, it's very hard, right? Because you've cast that in your head, and it's going to remind you specifically of people in your life, and what what you're gonna what you're gonna do. So really, the main thing I did is I in reading Adele's book, it was great to have that kind of omniscient insight into what could be driving the character. But I really just used that as further, context. And if, the actors made such great decisions on their own, but if they had, a question, and that, I'm sure that, they had read it too, but we had that kind of touchstone. Okay, well, here's probably what the intention was. And like, how are we translating that to our movie?
Mm.
Ugh.
So, yeah. And speaking about sort of that transition also to art, to the big screen, and with all of these ideas, because it's dealing with like foster parenting, abuse, and so much more within like an hour and a half of a runtime. However, you've been mostly sort of known for doing reality TV as a producer with a few slashers here and there, like the with the image of you as well. So with this film, what was the biggest challenge for you when it came to presenting these more mature ideas in a way that felt realistic for you and for the audience?
Um, well, I wanted to yeah, these performances are super grounded, right? And I think like Sophia and Chris and Amaya, and the rest of the cast, they bring these great, acting chops to each scene. So, and they brought a lot of emotional truth into everything that they did, and I think that that kind of uh helped sell. Like I believed what was going on in these families' lives, and I think the strength of their acting would did the heavy lifting there for me.
So speaking about sort of Chris and Sophia's performances as well, because they were really, really into it, as you've said before. So what was it like to have Sophia and Chris in those roles as Ali and as Tom, in a way, in those roles, also building that dynamic between those characters? What was that sort of like for you to establish them with their help?
I mean, they were great. I loved working with them, and they both brought great ideas to their characters, and they were terrific creative partners. I can't say enough good things about Sophia or Chris or the rest of our cast. I loved working with them. The younger actors that are up and coming are sensational too. I got to reunite with um, Rebecca Graff and Ogie Durham, who I've made sorry third movie with them, and I had an abundance of riches as far as actors go. Chris and Sophia were terrific. I love working with them.
They were really, really terrific. And I just love how Chris sort of brings in this sort of sinister yet somewhat passionate performance as Tom because he makes it clear that he's not what he says he is in the beginning at some points. But his actions over time make you think that he's also sort of a little bit more manipulative than he seems. So for you, what was the key in sort of making his character somewhat have that subtlety yet dire need as well?
Um, Chris is such a likable guy. He's such a likable guy in his screen presence and in life, right? So right from there, where I'm was very lucky to have him play the Tom character. I think we knew where the movie was going. We knew who all the suspects were, right? So each actor could kind of lean into that a little bit, right? And kind of like keep a question in the audience's mind. And I thought they all rose to it. And and Chris specifically had some really great ideas on ways to make Tom more interesting. And I loved getting to collaborate with him on that.
So were there any ideas that of his that you managed to implement in the film that weren't necessarily there from the book before?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of Chris's ideas are in the movie. He thought that Tom had moments of apology in the movie, and those were Chris's choices as an actor, and I think they made for such it makes for such an interesting and satisfying watch what he brought to the character. They were ideas that we talked about and that we were totally on the same page about, and yeah, and I think they're all in the movie. So
I'm surprised that he got all of his ideas, and I absolutely love that. But one last question for you. This film does feel like a departure from what you've done in the past. So are there any sort of specific types of projects that you probably want to tackle in the future?
yeah, so Chris, my short films were romantic comedies, and I made rom-coms for Hallmark, and this is the fourth thriller I've directed. I like both genres, but yeah, I wouldn't mind getting it doing a comedy next. Be fun.
Well, I can't see what you got cooking in the future, Jeff. So I gotta say, it's been a wonderful time talking to you, and I really hope that you have a wonderful day. Again, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking.
Yeah, great speaking with you also. Take care.
You too.
Bye.